Back here at home, the unrest in Portland continues to rage out of control. Antifa terrorists are destroying government. Oh, wait, that's the White House. Oh, that's what Trump did on purpose, without permission, to the White House. I told you we should have made him put down a security deposit. Over the summer, Trump announced he was going to build a big, beautiful ballroom, but promised it would not in any way affect the structure of the White House. And then he demolished the White House.
The president has time to do everything but what he needs to focus on. In fact, we heard the press secretary say that his main priority is the ballroom that no one asked for, the ballroom that requires him to destroy historic pieces of the White House. And so it doesn't seem like he's interested.
That the FBI is not just withholding the Epstein files, they're withholding emails about the process of looking for the Epstein emails in March and in April. So if you take a look right here as well, yeah, I mean, it has Bongino says he started on March 18th. So what? You were aware of all of these redactions taking place then. Okay, look.
The president of the United States is aboard Air Force One, supposed to be talking about, presidential stuff. And instead, he's having a full meltdown about two Democratic congresswomen he thinks are stupid. Now, normally when a president calls someone low IQ, you might think, okay, maybe it's just political trash talk. But then you notice something. Every single time Trump uses that specific insult, and I mean every single time, there's a pattern. And on October 29th, 2025, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett walked onto Jimmy Kimmel's show and exposed that pattern to millions of viewers.
I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding.
The fact that you just got done engaging in a conversation where we have a president of the United States who has no idea about the oath that he just took on January 20th tells me everything that I need to know. He didn't even have good sense enough in that same interview to say something as simple as, yes, I will follow the Constitution.
What's your point, Bongino? What's your point, Bongino? And you're still withholding a ton of documents, as Jason Leopold says, regarding the instructions for collecting the Epstein files right here. And you'll all remember that Leopold got emails that talk about how the FBI in overtime alone, counterintelligence, international operations, and others spent over $851,000 in overtime working on the Epstein files just between March 17th and March 22nd. According to documents, FBI personnel clocked in a total of 4,737 hours of overtime between January and July.
In a way that had Trump absolutely losing his mind. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me take you back to where this whole thing really started boiling over. October 27th, 2025. Trump had just gotten his annual physical at Walter Reed Medical Center, and apparently the doctors gave him a cognitive assessment test. You know, the kind they give people to check for early signs of dementia or Alzheimer's. It's got questions like, can you identify this picture of an elephant? And repeat these 5 words back to me. Real basic stuff. But Trump, and this is absolutely true,
It's more racism. Because essentially what you're saying is that black people, we know y'all know all about going to jail. To be clear, this guy has 34 felonies. I've never been arrested for a traffic ticket. I do want to be clear that there are black folk that haven't actually experienced jail. I have been in jail.
I did hear from one very special friend. Moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back.
And then Leopold just published some of the branches within the FBI that were moved away from the other work they were doing onto Epstein duty. These are all the divisions at FBI involved in the review of the Epstein files earlier this year. Between March 15th and March 22nd, 934 FBI agents and other personnel reviewed the files and clocked in 14,278 premium pay hours, essentially overtime, and were paid $851,000 in overtime.
Trump confused this dementia screening test with an IQ test. He bragged to reporters, they have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC, low IQ. You give her an IQ test. Have her pass the exams that I decided to take. Let AOC go against Trump. Let Jasmine go against Trump. Hold on. The man is challenging congresswomen to take a dementia test and calling it an IQ test. That's like me passing my driver's license exam and then challenging Stephen Hawking to prove he's smarter than me by parallel parking. It doesn't make any sense.
Here, kind of lumbers past the flags. He salutes the drapes. I don't know what he's saluting. Keep going, Mr. President. We need you to keep moving along. Now he's just bored. Now he's like what the hell am I doing? I'm missing Sean Hannity for this.
Thank you so much, Madam Ranker, and thank you so much to our witnesses for being here today. You know, I've sat and I've listened, and what my colleague, Mr. Krishnamurthy, just talked about was just blatant racism. Like, I'm gonna just call a thing a thing. Like, this administration is racist.
Directed their attention to focus on the Epstein files. So all of this stuff is done and ready to go. Now they're just delaying until December 19th. And then they're going to say, oh, well, here's the reason that we're not releasing them. It's not lawful or courts are preventing it. But just look at these divisions. The Counterintelligence Division, the Counterterrorism Division, Criminal Investigations Division, the Cyber Division, the Directorate of Intelligence. You've got a Human Resources Division. You've got Inspection Division, International Operations Division, New York City's Division, Operational Technology Division.
And if you're watching this, you already know something's not adding up here. Hit that like button because this story gets so much better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. So Trump throws down this challenge, right? And Jasmine Crockett, who, by the way, is an actual attorney, someone who passed the bar exam, someone who earned her way into Congress, Crockett fires back on CNN the very next day. She looks right into the camera and says, "What is his IQ? He doesn't even know what an IQ is. He don't even know which scores are low." Then she drops this absolute bomb.
President tell the public he was going to tear down the entire East Wing, which, as you know, is a part of the People's House.
I think this was a judgment call on the president. The president is a master builder. You know, I don't know. I assume that maybe parts of the East Wing could have been asbestos, could have been mold.
Could have been some old Chinese food. Could have been ghosts. We don't.
Obviously, as a former criminal defense attorney, but I do want to be clear that, as Kendrick Lamar says, they are not like us. He is not like us. So for my clients, I've never had one that had this many charges pending against them, but I've never had anybody come close to him and somehow still be walking free pre-trial. That's not how we get treated when we end up getting locked up.
All of these resources were put into reviewing the Epstein files with a emphasis on redactions. Redact, 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 remove, redact, cover up, cover up, cover up. That's what it means.
You know, the guys at True Classic started with a really simple mission: bring premium, comfortable clothing to the masses, because looking and feeling great should not come with a designer price tag. And honestly, they nailed it. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Over 25 million shirts sold to 5 million customers and more than 200,000 5-star reviews.
He consistently is obsessing over 2 women of color that are members of the House. I don't know what black woman hurt him in his past, honey, but it is really taking him through it. Boom. She just put the entire pattern on blast. Now, Jimmy Kimmel had been watching all of this go down, and you know Kimmel can't resist trolling Trump. So on October 29th, Kimmel announces on his show that he wants to host what he's calling the James C. Kimmel Cognitive Aptitude and Mental Brilliance Invitational. He says, and I'm quoting here, that it could be bigger than the Super Bowl and Jake Paul fighting Dick Van Dyke combined.
We're stripping the country down. I don't know if that we'll ever know how much damage will have been done, because some of the things are very much under the radar. Yeah. And you get to see that kind of stuff. You get to see the things that are being taken away, these things that are important to Americans that aren't. Like, I mean, we do pay attention to Pete Hegseth and we pay attention to Elon Musk and whatnot, but the little things are the things that are really are terrifying, aren't they?
No, it really is. But let me tell you something. We really don't know how much damage they're causing. Like, when I tell you that the level of incompetence is almost like incomprehensible, It is so bad. And when you bring up the idiot known as Elon Musk,
we need to stop helping people have higher education, because having higher education means that they delay having children or don't have children at all. This is the Heritage Foundation's argument. And this is Trump carrying it out by canceling and making it more difficult for professions that are predominantly women to get loans.
Then he brings on Jasmine Crockett via video call to see if she'll actually accept Trump's challenge. And Crockett, she doesn't hesitate for a second. She says, "I know that he can't seem to find himself in the Oval Office to make sure that he can end this shutdown, but he does have time to troll me. So listen, if he's down, I'm down." The audience goes wild because she's right. There's a government shutdown happening, people are struggling, and the president is spending his time challenging congresswomen to dementia tests because he thinks it makes him look smart.
You know, I don't know what it says. I mean, it is very hard to say that you can predict anything when it comes to this White House, especially when it comes to this particular president. I will tell you that, you know, it seems like he's not on the same page with the Republicans. We know that here recently, he basically said, hey, just go ahead and explore the nuclear option. You know, they've been trying to blame this on the Democrats the entire time, when those of us who understand how things work, they have exploited the nuclear option more than once. And I'm not suggesting.
You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. No, they weren't. Something happened between then and now, because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. That I can't argue with. Shut the up.
Take a listen to what the American Nursing Association representative had to say about this.
But this is the time where we need everyone to speak up with the voice to let people know that this is just, we're not going to stand for this, and that we need this to change.
If not, the proposed changes take effect in July.
Trump's Department of Education tried to quietly make a change, but it has backfired. Public outcry across the country. The change has to do with declassifying nursing as a profession.
But here's where it gets really good. Kimmel asks Crockett a simple question. Do you notice any kind of a pattern when it comes to people he frequently refers to as low IQ people? And Crockett responds, they tend to be women, and they tend to be women of color. Let that sink in for a second. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because we're documenting all of this. Every single incident, every single pattern. Then Kimmel decides to give viewers a preview of what this televised IQ test might look like.
You know, the thing that actually derived from the oath that he was supposed to take. And he supposedly took an oath, which there's a lot of people that point out that he never put his hand on the Bible, even though he acts as if he could somehow be the Pope. But nevertheless, that oath specifically says that you will defend the Constitution. So the idea that you are now taking the Constitution and, as I said at the DNC, putting it through a paper shredder is a problem. And I think that this should not be partisan. This should be right versus wrong. A lot of the things that this administration is doing, they don't have anything to do with partisanship. This is right versus wrong. And right now, they are consistently wrong.
Wait, just take a look at this email that Leopold got as well about the cameras in the special housing unit where Epstein died. It says MCC, that's the prison, video containing 147 cameras that were active before and after Epstein was found dead. Each video is 24 hours long. The cameras were stationed all over the prison at various locations and angles. They did not capture anything significant related to the suicide, since the cameras in the special housing unit where Epstein was located were not active at the time. Thank you and the team. I'm happy to address any questions. Signed, Leslie, right there. Now,
he pulls out a picture of an elephant, you know, the kind of question that's actually on Trump's dementia screening test, and asks Crockett, can you name this animal? Crockett correctly identifies it as an elephant. Kimmel jokes, wow, you're gonna crush this. Then he warns her, I want to warn you, there are going to be questions that favor him, like, how do you get ketchup out of a bottle? And What's the difference between a windmill and a ceiling fan? The audience is dying laughing because everyone knows about Trump's weird obsession with windmills and that time he couldn't figure out how to use a ketchup bottle.
For all the stops for Trump, she nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. She had the World Series on TV for him. She even gave him some gifts. She gave him a golf bag signed by a Japanese golfer and gave him a putter once owned by the late Prime Minister Abe. Unfortunately, he no longer has anywhere to put that putter because all his closet space.
AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ. And we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right. Now it's time for them to take a test.
What is your reaction to what he is saying?
It is absolutely ridiculous that I live rent-free in his mind in a time in which the American people are suffering. He absolutely consistently buys into this idea or continues to put it out there that women of color somehow are low IQ. Let me be clear. I have a lot more education than he does. This is just what it is, degree-wise. I have earned my degrees. My daddy didn't have to make a phone call to get me into anything because that wasn't a possibility, okay? So we can stop playing games as if I am somehow lesser than.
Now, you might be thinking this is just one incident, but this has been going on all year. Let me give you the receipts. Back in March 2025, Crockett attended a human rights campaign event where she called Texas Governor Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels because of his policy of busing migrants to cities with black mayors. Abbott uses a wheelchair, and Republicans lost their minds over the comment. And who jumped in? Trump. He called Crockett a lowlife and a very low IQ person.
He's interested. It is my hope that his friends start calling him Jeff Bezos when those Amazon planes are not flying. Hopefully, he will listen to them because he's not listening to the pain that the American people are suffering through. As again, you played a clip and he said everybody's going to be in good shape. Who is it?
Less like a president and more like a property brother. He blew up the East Wing. He redecorated the Oval Office. He paved over the Rose Garden. He added a golden hall of presidents, and he isn't done.
This house was not taken care of the way it was supposed to be. I take very good care of property. You'll notice the floors downstairs. I paid for them. Marble, the most beautiful marble you've.
I'll share this with you. This is what Pam Bondi said. What was this, about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago? Notice the language that she uses is the same language that we're seeing from Kash Patel. Lawful this, lawful that. Here, play this clip.
A new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files.
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
What are the next steps, Madam Attorney General, for the DOJ regarding what we assume President Trump will sign into law with the Epstein files? Is this going to be on the Justice Department website? What are you doing here over the next 30 days as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
The Montreal Cognitive Assessment that he keeps bragging about? It's designed to be easy. It's a pass-fail test to screen for dementia. The fact that Trump thinks passing it makes him a genius tells you everything you need to know. Crockett even suggested they could hold the televised test at the smoldering hole that used to be the East Wing of the White House, a reference to Trump's recent decision to demolish parts of the White House. Savage.
Hungry, which people were already hungry in this country. We have not done right by those that have been struggling because $6 a day to eat doesn't fix it. And you say everybody's going to be in good shape as you are putting more money into your son's pocket, as you are saying that we should take American taxpayer dollars and put them in your pocket to the tune of $280 million. I mean, I don't know who.
By heart by the end of the night. There were incredible game-saving plays at third, at the plate, on both sides. It went on, and it was like one of your mother's voicemails. Every time you thought it was finished, it kept going. But then Freddie Freeman came to bat in the bottom of the 18th, and then
11:50 in Los Angeles. Freeman sends a fly ball to center field. Varsho's going.
You also know that Ghislaine Maxwell is refusing to speak with the House of Representatives, even though she speak to Donald Trump's former lawyer, turned number 2 at the Department of Justice, Todd Blanche. Remember, she gave that interview where she lied through her teeth. Now she says that she's going to invoke her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and not speak with the House Oversight Committee because there's an active cover-up. Trump moved her to the facility in Texas, the minimum security facility where she's having the time of her life, and Trump's likely going to pardon her before his term's over, the same way he pardoned the top narco terrorist, former president of Honduras, who, by the way, Trump's other personal lawyer, Emil Bove, when he was a federal prosecutor, he was the one responsible for that prosecution. But I also think part of Trump pardoning these like drug traffickers is that I think he's also priming the public.
Here's the thing. This isn't about IQ tests. This never was. This is about a president who feels threatened by powerful black women who refuse to back down, who refuse to be quiet, who refuse to let him bully them into silence. Every time Crockett speaks up, every time she calls out his hypocrisy, every time she exposes his pattern, Trump erupts. And that tells you who really has the power here. Make sure you're subscribed because we're tracking every single one of these incidents. Trump's pattern is clear. The question is, when will everyone else finally acknowledge it?